Welcome back everyone to ThoseYGOguys. I'm your host Alessandro. So at this point in time, if you guys are not aware that the 2014 North American World Championship Qualifier Tournament has come to a close. So our winner is Corey McDuffie, who piloted the Hand Artifact Traptrix deck, also known as H.A.T. So congratulations Corey for winning the North American World Championship Qualifier Tournament. So best of all luck to Team USA for going all the way to Italy, and hopefully we'll take that title back home as our victory sign or so. But that's yet to come. So yeah, a lot of people weren't expecting H.A.T deck to really win this entire event. A lot of people were actually expecting what I'm trying to say. A lot of people were expecting Mermails or Lightsworn to really win the event. I wouldn't really say that because that's really a long stretch. But I will get to my own personal thoughts a little later. Let's move on to the beginning of day 2, to the top 20 player, well, 12-20 decks in the top tables, just to give you an idea how are the deck ratios played out throughout the events. Just to give you a head start, there are 4 Geargias, 2 Bujins, 2 Lightsworns, 2 Madolches, 2 Artifact Traptrix, 1 Hand Artifact Traptrix, 1 Mermail, 1 Reversal Quiz OTK, 1 Prophecy, 1 Mythic Dragon Ruler, 1 Heretics, 1 Sylvan, and 1 Inferni. So basically that's 13 different decks put together in pretty much in summary of the entire top table of the beginning of day 2. So that gives you an idea how diverse this format pretty much have stated. And it's actually a really big difference compared to, like, definitely from the last World Championship qualifying season. Basically last season was basically down to 2 certain decks, which are Dragon Rulers and Prophecy. Basically Dragon Rulers were the most dominant deck back then. But now we have a wider array of so many different decks being able to compete against one another. So definitely it's a big change compared to previous times. So definitely that's a good sign for players who are hoping for a very diverse format. This is kind of like that format. And to be honest, Konami has done a pretty good job with certain booster sets like Dragons of Legends and Primal Origins. Like, those 2 sets really brought many decks some unique tech cards, unique utility, very strong cards that can make them compete. So definitely I'm very pleased with the entire performance of this entire event, especially how diverse the format really is when we see and also in the past few World Championship qualifying tournaments in the past few weeks. So let's get down to some of the very popular predictions that many people were making. Let's start with Mermails. So Mermails have won the Europe World Championship qualifier, and then the following week they won the Central American World Championship qualifier. So what happened to Mermail nowadays? here's my little hypothesis that I've come up. And I think a lot of players have agreed to that point. Back then, Mermails wasn't really a very popular choice because, you know, we see a large roaming of H.A.T decks, especially if every deck does taking in hands and stuff like that. Not saying that Mermails is a bad deck, because I played the deck and it's good. It's just the things have changed. It's not as Mermail friendly as things were back then. So when players are not playing Mermails, people are kind of taking Mermails kind of like off the competitive radar. But when Euros came around, it just caught a lot of people by surprise. And that's pretty much what a lot of people have assumed, and I kind of agree with that. Mermails pretty much won using the surprise element. But now that Mermails have made a statement like, hey, we're still a deck, now people already know what the deck can do. So I'm not surprised seeing Mermails not doing as well as people were hoping for it to be. So there you have it. Lightsworns. I'm not surprised to see Lightsworn not making this far. I mean, you're asking quite a lot for a particular deck. Not saying the deck is bad. It's just what Mermails have over Lightsworns is the fact that it is very consistent. And we can agree on that. It is very consistent. Lightsworn, and I compare this up with Sylvans, and maybe to a certain extent with Dragon Rose, maybe, but I think Sylvan and Lightsworn go together pretty well. Excuse me. The fact that is, it really comes down to how well you open up your plays. Either A, you open up pretty solid, very good, or B, you open up okay that you can get away, but it wasn't the greatest hand that you wanted, or C, you get a very brick hand, which you can't really do a whole lot. And let's look. Lightsworn's Rulers, that's pretty much the deck that everyone's been playing. I don't know what to think about that deck right now, but I'll get to my opinions. Basically, you're running 3 JDs, obvious. Most likely 3 Dragon Rulers. That's what I've been seeing quite a lot lately. Then your Diablos, Light Ray Diablos, sorry. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. And that's the thing. The deck is alright, but if it doesn't open up that really ideal game opening play, it's really hard to really recover. And that's kind of like the thing about both of those decks. It really comes down to how well you open up, and also if you're going first, so that way you won't be interrupted by your opponent's card effects. I mean, it's asking quite a lot for a deck to do really well in an event where it's, on top of that, multiple rounds. So I'm not going to say Lightsworn Ruler deck a terrible deck. It's just, it's not the most consistent deck in the entire world. Kind of makes me having second thoughts on whether or not I really want to try Lightsworn Rulers or not. I don't know. I personally like the pure Lightsworn build, which I apparently got some pretty positive feedback from a lot of you guys. So thank you very much for wonderful feedbacks. But that's just a little side note right there. So back to the topic. I'm not too sure if Lightsworn Ruler is the deck that a lot of people are considering. Not only that, I mean, it's already high up in the radar, so people are already prepare. So yeah, Sylvans. It's a pretty decent deck, but from what I've heard from multiple people, especially from WCQ and other YouTubers, basically, it really comes down to how good your Sylvan play, your opening hand is. And you're at sometimes at certain chances of opening up brick hands, and that is a problematic scenario, you know. Because you can't really afford any brick hands, and that's something that those kind of decks kind of suffer, especially in a multiple round deck. So basically, what I would say rule of thumb is, if your deck is consistent, then that's pretty much your way to go. Always go with something that's very consistent and then can also have some power plays. So that's basically how I feel. What else is there? Geargias. We all thought that Geargias would have one last hurrah with triple Geargia gears before the start of the new format where Geargia gear goes to 1. But apparently that didn't happen. I think majority of them, well, actually all of them, didn't make it to the really higher top places. So that kind of gave way for decks such as H.A.T deck, pretty much, to make it all the way to the top. Because guess what? H.A.T's worst matchup is Geargias, because it's Geargia. Pure Geargias is kind of like a kind of control aggro in a way. So yeah, Bujin is, as funny as I will say it, is a fair deck, to be honest. I mean, it's only as devastating if it gets this stuff rolling, which, you know, if you take care of Bujin, their plays really quickly, then really they can't do a whole lot. Let's see, Madolches. I'm not surprised to see Madolche didn't make it too far. In fact, I find it pretty funny. When we first heard of the news of Madolche and Jelly, people once thought Jelly will make Madolche like tier 1, like there will be no competition against Madolches, but it didn't really turn out that way. I think people have utilized the fact that, taking like a similar theory for previous decks such as 6 Samurais, if you stop the summon or interrupted their play, they really don't have a fallback or anything to play to follow up. So there's that situation. Plus, I mean, here are like the 8 decks where people already consider high on the radar: Bujins, Geargias, H.A.T, Mermail, Sylvan, Dragon Rulers, Lightsworns, and shoot, I have, see, H.A.T, Bujins, Sylvans, Mermails, Geargias, Lightsworns, Dragon Rulers, and Prophecies. Spellbook, sorry. I kind of went back and tried to figure out what I'm missing. So basically, majority of the decks I mentioned, they rely heavily on the graveyard. So guess what? Madolche's kind of too relies on the graveyard, and Yeah. And it's easy to really stop Madolches if you know how to really stop them. Follow up, we have Infernities. Actually, one Infernity deck made it all the way to the top 8. Piloted by Sahabi Karadine. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Well, basically Sahabi. Which is pretty impressive because, you know, I play Infernity deck as well, and there'll be games where you open up insane, and once Infernity goes off, it goes off with a bang. And there'll be times where, you know, you get these weird hands as well. I mean, that happens. But pretty impressive to see Infernity deck making all the way up to top 8. So congratulations, Sahabi. Let's see, anything else? And Drag Rulers. Drag Rulers still very powerful, very potent as well. Utilizing cards such as Skill Drain, which Skill Drain wrecks many people's days for lives. So they're with Dragon Rulers. So overall, pretty devastating. But also we get to see a lot more different decks besides the ones I mentioned. One, the feature match I recently watched, I think about this morning, I was watching Jeff Jones' matchup. Basically, it was Quakimeru Fist, which basically is a mixture of Fire Fist and Quakimerus. And, you know, he won that feature match. And it's really cool to see Quakimeru doing pretty well. Because, you know, Primal Origins have offered a lot of other decks some really good support that, you know, not a lot of the competitive scene is really showing. But, you know, that doesn't mean those decks are bad. They're really good. Quakimerus is one of them. It's really good. Diamond Core helps Quakimeru what they're missing. So, and we got to see what they are capable of at the hands of Jeff Jones. So, pretty cool. Kind of unfortunate that he didn't make it to top 32, but hey, what can I say? And then, just besides the Quakimerus, you also have like Scraps. I mean, they got Scrap Factory, and they're about to get Supply Unit, or actually, it's already out. So that's another pretty powerful tech cards for Scrap decks as well. So a lot of decks are actually doing well. So overall, very diverse format. I hope that this time we will take the World Championship title. We came pretty close last year. Just one of those things that, hey, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! So hopefully this time, you know, we might win this. Hopefully, I have high hopes, but, you know, being optimistic and realistic are two separate things. So we'll just have to see how would this plays out, especially with the ban list that Konami is going to have to come up with for everyone participating in the tournament. So that's going to be interesting to find out. So yeah. So leave a comment down below what you guys think about the event. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Also, what other topics would you like for me to discuss? This is important for really pretty cool feedbacks to hear from you guys, so that way I can post videos that many of you would enjoy. So, without further ado, take care everyone. I hope you enjoy the April 2014 format, and we're about to move on to the July 2014. Not too much of a difference, just Gear is now being bumped down to lower tier status. But hey, doesn't mean Gear is a bad deck, so just pointing it out there. So yeah, so have fun, everyone. Have a great time playing. So I hope to see you guys soon. So yeah, take care, everyone. Bye bye.